Are you ready for this one? Are you ready for this law? You're not going to believe it. Listen to me carefully. In a move that epitomizes the radical left's penchant for what amounts to political theater, Ohio Democratic State Representatives Anita Somani and Tristan Rader have introduced the so-called Conception Begins at Erection Act. I'm not kidding. This proposed legislation seeks to impose draconian penalties on men who engage in unprotected intromission without the explicit intent to conceive a child, branding such actions as felonies with fines escalating up to $10,000 per incident. This absurd proposal not only mocks the legislative process, but also underscores the Democrats' relentless obsession with controlling personal behavior under the guise of equality. Now, the bill stipulates that any man who discharges genetic material without the purpose of procreation would face severe financial penalties, a $1,000 fine for the first offense, $5,000 for the second, and a staggering $10,000 for each subsequent violation, while exceptions are made for activities such as contraception use, sperm donation, onanism and self-pleasure, and relations within the LGBTQIA plus community. The overarching intent is clear: to impose punitive measures on natural male behavior. Now, this legislative overreach is a blatant attempt to equate men's reproductive actions with women's, disregarding the fundamental biological and societal differences between the two. Representative Somani, an OB-GYN with over 3 decades of experience, has openly admitted that the bill is designed more as a political statement than a genuine policy proposal. She asserts that the legislation aims to highlight perceived disparities in reproductive rights between men and women. However, this approach not only trivializes serious legislative discourse, but also undermines the credibility of lawmakers who resort to such gimmicks. By introducing a bill with no intention of it becoming law, Somani and Rader are in essence engaging in a dangerous and disingenuous political stunt that wastes taxpayers' resources and legislative time. This farcical proposal emerges in the context of ongoing national debates over reproductive rights, particularly following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe. Now, Democrats have seized upon this moment to push their radical agenda, often resorting to extreme measures that disregard common sense and public sentiment. The Conception Begins at Erection Act is emblematic of this trend, showcasing a willingness to propose outlandish and absurd legislation in a misguided effort to make a point. Critics of the bill argue that it represents a gross overreach of governmental authority into the private lives of citizens. By attempting to legislate the most intimate aspects of human behavior, Somani and Rader are setting a dangerous precedent that could lead to further intrusion on personal freedoms. Moreover, the bill's satirical nature does little to advance meaningful dialogue on reproductive rights. Instead, what it does is it fosters division and detracts from genuine policy discussions. Now, hear me out. The introduction of such a bill also raises questions about the priorities of Ohio's Democratic lawmakers. At a time when the state faces pressing issues such as economic recovery, public safety, and education reform, the decision to focus on a provocative and unserious piece of legislation is baffling. This move suggests a disconnect between Democratic representatives and the real concern of their constituents, highlighting what, in essence, is a preference for political grandstanding over substantive governance. Furthermore, my dear friend, the bill's exceptions for certain activities and groups reveal an inherent inconsistency in its application. By exempting individuals who use contraception, engage in self-pleasure, donate sperm and the like, or are members of the LGBTQIA plus community, the legislation selectively targets specific behaviors while ignoring others that result in the same outcome. Now, this selective enforcement underscores the bill's lack of seriousness and further diminishes its credibility as a piece of legislation. In conclusion, dear friend, dear fellow patriot, dear lover of liberty, the Contraception Begins at Erection Act serves as a glaring example of the lengths to which Democratic lawmakers will go to push their ideological agenda by proposing a bill that seeks to criminalize natural male behavior under the pretense of promoting equality. Representatives Somani and Rader are engaging in a cynical political ploy that disrespects the legislative process and the intelligence of Ohio citizens. This misguided attempt at satire not only fails to contribute constructively to the discourse on reproductive rights, but it also exemplifies the left's propensity for overreach and control. It is imperative, I say, that conservatives and all proponents of personal freedom remain vigilant against such incredible encroachments, for lack of a better word, and continue to advocate for common sense policies that respect individual liberties and uphold the principles upon which our nation was founded. What do you think, my friends? Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you agree? Do you see it my way? I hope you do. Do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you are joining us. Put us into the HOV lane of limpidity. Also, like the video, hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. But more importantly, I ask you, dear friend, in the comment section connected to comment as you see fit.